Greetings, Patrick here. IFC Midnights are once again assembled around the round table for another fun-filled discussion. Uh, Tonight's movie is What Keeps You Alive, and this is going to be a lot of. It's going to be a very interesting discussion, I think. Um, and this came out in 2018. It stars Brittany Allen and Hannah Emily Anderson, and yeah.
Yeah, never seen it before.
No, first time watch for me too.
Yep.
Had you seen it before, Ben?
I had seen it. Yeah, I saw it when it first came out. But I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I kind of misremembered the end a little bit.
Well, I guess we could talk a little bit about the first impressions. I do know that this is the first time for me too. I've had it since it came out. I bought this over at Family Video when it was Family Video. This is one of the movies that my friends over there at the store, when it came up, they immediately grabbed it and put it aside. When it was able to go on sale, they saved it for me. I heard about it, and I've had it for a while, but I don't ask me why. I can't explain it. I haven't watched it till our discussion, but it's an interesting movie. Different. Let's go around. We'll start with Haas.
Mm-hmm.
And let everybody tell their quick first impressions before we get into the movie proper.
Well, I thought it was very entertaining, and just the way it starts out, it seems like it's a couple. Couple you find out they're a married couple. I didn't know that initially, but going to have a getaway kind of thing, and so it seems like it's going to be, kind of calm there, but I kind of just got the impression like it's the way this is kind of a remote location. I was just like, I bet, there's going to be something that's going to go bad eventually, but didn't find out till later what that was. But yeah, I was definitely entertained by it. Some questionable decisions maybe by one of the characters, but.
Mm-hmm. Ben?
Yeah, this was a second time watch for me. And I liked the movie. I found it pretty compelling, but it is also pretty frustrating. The way certain characters do some stuff, and they're sort of the full arc of their character arc is a little frustrating. But I still like the movie. People still get their comeuppance. So
yeah, definitely. They do, for sure. It was funny
like the surprise of it. Like you were like, "Whoa!"
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're
in this now.
It was funny as I'm watching this movie and they're in the woods. We'll get it to that, but then I kept on thinking, going like, are we back in backcountry? Am I back there? Because it felt very much a little bit like backcountry, and just a little bit, in the woods and the landscape, and then I found out that this is actually filmed in Canada, where a backcountry was filmed. So it was a interesting parallel for me.
When was what year was backcountry?
I believe it was 2016, 2017? This was 2018. So I think backcountry came slightly before this.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, work around their winters. That's for sure. Froze over up there.
Yeah, I like this movie, and we're gonna get into it here. My first impression was, because I actually thought that the antagonist was going to be switched. I actually thought Brittany Allen was going to be the one that was going to be the the one that was going to be the villainess in this more than the other girl.
So did I.
I really did. I watched Brittany Allen before. She did a movie called "It Stains the Sands Red," and she was really good in that. But she has sort of I just got the impression from watching that movie. I said, wow, she could be, she could play a bitch pretty well. And so I really thought that was how it was going to be. But it really didn't. They had her playing Jules, and they had Hannah playing Jackie. I thought it was an interesting twist because the stereotype would be because it looked, and at first because they're a couple, you thought the role, just by the way they physically looked, you thought that one was going to be one way and the other was going to be the other. And it turns out that it has nothing to do with that at all. And I thought that was an interesting, I thought that was a great choice by Colin Minihan, who directed the movie as well. Now, had anybody ever seen any of these actresses work before we get into the movie itself?
Not me.
The girl who played Sarah, I remembered I'd seen her somewhere before, and then I looked. It was she was in Superbad. I remember seeing her in that, so she was younger in that one.
Okay. That's wasn't that the Andy Samberg one with McLovin or something like it was?
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard of that movie. I haven't watched it yet, but I had never seen any of the other actors and actresses at all. This is a very, very tight movie too, because it only has 4 speaking roles in it, and that's it. It's a very small cast. So, do you guys have any comments to add before we jump into the movie?
No.
Okay. So, I like the way the opening begins. We see the two ladies. It's a lesbian couple, and it sounds to me like they're on their honeymoon. So we see them roll into the woods.
No, their anniversary. It's their first anniversary.
And so they roll into the woods, and we see them, and they seem very close and very much in love, and they roll up into the cabin.
What a cabin!
Yeah, I was going to say, not a cabin. That house was immense. That house was wow. Really, right?
Right on the lake like that. That's awesome.
I guess looking back at it, probably, and she said it was her Jackie, who's played by Hannah Emily Anderson. She says that it's her family's cabin that's been in her family for many, many years.
Right.
I was a little surprised by that, because that cabin or I should say house, that house did not look cheap. That house looked like it looked like you had to have a lot of money to build that house. And so, right at the first impression for me was she's doing all right for herself. She's, either she got the cabin herself or her family got it, as far as her family's doing really well. She seemed like in a really comfortable position, really at ease, which makes for what happens later on a little surprising for me. What did you guys think of the first scene where they came up to the house? What was your first impression of the house?
I thought the house was okay. I didn't really, because I guess I live in the Bay Area or whatever. Like, for me, I see houses all the time that are like look amazing but are cheap compared to what's around here. So I never really looked at the house and was like, oh, that's like a multi-million-dollar mansion or anything. Just it just struck me as sort of like a nice place out in the woods on a lake. So I didn't initially feel like, oh, she comes from all sorts of big money or anything personally. But I thought it was my first impression was I didn't really think anything like you said. You thought based on appearance or something that things turned out different from what you thought. But I wasn't thinking when I first saw it. I had no idea what the synopsis of the film was or anything when I watched it. So I wasn't thinking anything, no alarm bells were ringing for me personally until later in the film.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't feel any alarms, but it just felt like it felt really good. Like you saw this couple, and you felt nothing but it was like, man, these guys are all right. It's gonna be, they're in love. They're celebrating it.
Yeah,
And
nice place to have their anniversary.
yes, exactly. Secluded, comfortable. What about you, Haas?
Well, I mean, just the scenery and the way it looked was, of course, beautiful. And but I noticed, like, you'd think since Jackie had been there before, like maybe she would have shown Jules around, but it was like more or less she was on her own. Jules was going exploring, and Jackie was like, nowhere around. Like she thought she was there in the house with her, and then of course she ends up calling for her once she's looked around a little and she doesn't hear anything. And that to me initially was like, well, why would she just leave her in there? Like, because you would think this being an anniversary, a romantic thing, it'd be
Let me
a
show
little
you
bit
around
more.
the house, honey.
And that's what I'm saying. That just kind of gave me the impression of, well, why would she just leave her in the house like that, And then where she found her down there, where she was kind of like in a daze, like she was like just totally somewhere else, not even there present with her. That was just very odd to start off the movie with,
Yeah, it did that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, not only did she leave her in the house like that, I mean, without saying anything, but then when she walks outside and then she sees her and she's like, she's in the twilight zone. She's like, Jackie, and she's just like, she's locked in, and you just, what is she locked in on? It's like, it hasn't been up for all that long, so she's been up there,
Mm-hmm.
but we we later on find out that she'd been up there a little bit more than we suspected.
Right.
Well, and she asked her, like, have you seen my insulin? So sometimes people might like stare off when they're not right with their insulin. Maybe
I think
Could have
also
been blamed on that. I don't know.
I think also if you think about like she was staring at like a boathouse that had been pretty much demolished. So I think like if you go up to a place where you spent your childhood and you're feeling all nostalgic and then you see part of it is like sort of crumbled apart, you might think thoughtful, like we don't know what happened with her family, like maybe her parents are passed away and it just brought up back memories that nothing's permanent or whatever. Like you don't know. So like
Yeah, that's true.
it didn't really strike me as too alarming, but I did notice that they brought up insulin, which is a weird thing to bring up unless it going to play some kind of role in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Foreshadowing. Yeah.
So they settle into the cabin, or keep calling it a cabin, it's a house. They settle into the house. It's immense. Of course, then Jackie's sharing the different things about the house. I thought the real interesting part is when the first night they're just sitting there and talking, and all of a sudden Jackie grabs the guitar, she starts singing. Yeah, that was definitely where the first alarm bell went off for me, because that song was not, it was a cool song, but it was so inappropriate to sing in a situation like that. It's like that. I mean, I would never sing anything like that to someone I love. That's just that song was really disturbing, and the way she sang it, and I liked it. I liked that moment a lot. I thought that was a really creepy moment, and I think it really established Jackie as and the actress. It's just a really just a shade, a preview of what we're gonna get, and I thought it was really cool.
I mean, it seemed like it was like a folk song type of thing, right? It's not like, hey, here's a song I wrote and it's some disturbing ass shit. It felt like she was just singing a song, and it was a cool song. But maybe also because I don't know, I listen to metal and stuff. The lyrics were heavy duty, but they weren't like offensive to me personally, or I didn't find them deeply disturbing or anything. But
Yeah, but would you sing a song like that acoustically to a girl you're trying to, to a girl you're trying to woo? Would you sing them? Because
the
yeah,
girls,
I don't know if that's exactly the kind of love song that
yeah, but Patrick, the girl's been wooed for a year already. Now singing is just entertainment. She's not trying to like get her. She wanted to get her in this action, say, hey, let's go fuck or whatever. Right? I mean, like,
Play some Elvis.
Yeah.
but you can see by Jules' face, you can read her face, and her face was like she'd never seen that side of Jackie before.
I thought it was more disturbing when she was talking about hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She was really like, he's into it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, not only is she singing a really weird song, but you're right. But then she started. It's like her whole personality. It seemed to change as soon as it got to the house.
Let me show you my knife.
Yeah. And Jules had never. You could definitely tell by her face, and it shows that she has not seen the side of her wife. It's like, who, what, because she's just like, her whole face is surprise. It's not like, oh, it's just Jackie being Jackie. It's like, who, it's unsettling for her.
We do see flashbacks though when they're talking in bed about being like a crow, and she's like, "Oh, I'm an eagle," and like, I feel like that side of her has been present over the course of a year. Because we see in flashbacks like foreshadowing things.
Yeah. Maybe like she's made comments, but she didn't really think anything of them at the time. She was just like, "Oh, okay."
As the film does go on, like in the beginning here, we do start getting. We do see that there are things about her that she didn't share with her partner, right? Like when some old friend shows up, calls her by a different name and stuff. So we do start seeing like, flags getting raised there.
I think and the thing is, though, it's like you're right when they're coupling and sharing an intimate moment, and all of a sudden the car comes, and then they quickly get dressed and they go downstairs, and you're right, the friend comes in, knocks on the door, and then knocks on the door, and they open the door, and she calls her Megan. And I think in normal circumstances that would have been like, okay, that's sort of weird, but I think because of what Jules has started saying, by the guitar, I mean, by the song and the hunting stories and just her general demeanor, it sort of shows off how fast that Jules sort of reacts to it. That somehow, some way, that this is not new behavior. Like, I think there's already been seeds planted before we meet these two, but now we're starting to see it. Now the plant's breaking the ground, so to speak. Now we're starting to see the roots of that, because Jules immediately. It's not like, oh, that's just a mistaken identity, or that could have been a nickname that they called each other, but she immediately starts looking at her like, giving her the side eye, like, what? I mean, no benefit of the doubt. That was, and it was like, okay, so these two weren't as rock solid as we thought they were. There's been some things that we were not privy to beforehand, because her demeanor went from, just for such a small and innocent, a neighbor knocking on the door, and her demeanor sort of, she she was just really leery. I think that was my impression.
I think when the whole name thing came up for me, it was like a red flag, but simultaneously, I think, in a sense, because they're lesbian lovers, and I think like I was thinking about like dead naming, how like trans people come have a new name and like they just change their name. They want to put all that shit in the past. I felt like, maybe when she came out, she just wanted to drop her old identity and start with this one. She says she legally changed her name, so like.
True.
It's still, you think like she's been married to this girl for a year, and that never came up once. Like, oh, by the way, I used to go by. You think that that would have been covered? That's why I think Jules got so upset about it.
No, I mean, I think Jules was right to be like, I feel like that's something you maybe should have told me. Like,
Yeah.
But it also makes sense that she may have changed her name, in my opinion, when I was watching it.
Right, I got you.
And that her, being whatever, sort of in the LGBTQ world would sort of be acknowledged, like, okay, yeah, sometimes people change things to, symbolize a new future and escape an old past or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've actually known a few folks in the community that have changed their names, but I think it's one of those things where you're right. It's important to it's important to share something like that with the person that you're with, because we're picking these ladies up a year for their first year anniversary. We haven't taken into consideration like how long do they know each other beforehand, so we got to add that time to their year, and it's like that's a long time to hold a secret like that without revealing it.
But it's also like why and how would you even bring that up? Like, oh, by the way, when I was a kid, people called me Megan because that's what my parents named me, and I changed. Like, it's not, maybe it wasn't like a secret that she was hiding her past or something. It's just like a weird thing to bring up. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't have come up at some point during that relationship, but it's like, it's not something like, oh, hey, before we get married, I just wanted to let you know, I had a nickname in elementary school, and it was the Angry Eagle or whatever the fuck,
Yeah, I don't want to be confused for some sort of a robot or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing it had been a while since she'd been at that cabin because, Sarah was saying the whole reason she was coming by was because they'd had somebody break in to their home. So they were making sure it wasn't somebody trying to burglarize it. So I'm guessing it's been some time, because I was assuming by that, when we find out later that maybe Sarah wasn't living there very long, like they'd not lived in that house across the way very long. But again, that's something I came to later, once you found out some things. But
I think for me it was like, whereas that was the vacation home for Jackie's family, you got the impression that with Sarah and Daniel, that was her home.
Yeah.
And they had been, and what really surprised me was, and I'm glad they did. I mean, they could have did this, but I'm sort of glad they didn't. And that was, I'm glad that they didn't have, though it would have been, I think it would have changed the dynamic of the movie a little bit quicker than they wanted to. But I think because that was their home, and based on later on, we'll get to it. But there was something that Jackie had, and I was just thinking, well, like she seemed to know Jackie's life a little bit, like we're friends. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how many did she know about any of the other people that Jackie brought to the cabin? Like she oh, it's you, Megan. Oh, and then see the new, see Jules. Oh, we're friends. But then again, I thought, well, maybe they're not quite as good as friends, because if so, then they would have known who Jules was, but they didn't. So I think they were childhood friends, but as they grew into adulthood, they became more acquaintance like.
Yeah, or just like sort of grew out of contact with each other, right?
Right.
We do learn later that what's her face? What are their names? Jules is the redhead.
That's Jackie's the redhead, and Jules is she has the short hair.
Okay. Whose house is it? That's Jackie.
Jackie's house.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we do find out later that Jackie's got like a little locket collection, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely know that it hasn't been like 15 years or whatever since she's been there, because she's not that old.
No.
And there's some kind of
She must have been real quick in what she did this time. She was quicker at it, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
it just seemed to me like she seemed a little surprised to see Sarah. So that would, give the impression that, oh, well, she's not seen her if she's been there before, she's not seen her. So I just kind of assumed either Sarah had not lived there very long, or they just, I guess their paths never crossed. I don't know.
it also, I mean, there was some awkwardness between them, right? You felt the awkwardness, not just that they hadn't seen each other, but like, there was just an awkwardness between them, which we find out later why.
I guess it made me wonder too, because I'm thinking, well, did she, when you saw the necklaces and the drink, and you're thinking to yourself, you're going like, I just can't believe, those are definitely trophies.
Yeah.
But you can't believe that all happened at the cabin or the house. You can't believe that. It'd be way too many, way too coincidence, because it's not like Jackie and Jules are like old. They're they're in their mid-20s. And it's just like, well, if she'd been doing that up here all this time, there would have been a pattern established.
And
I
the cops
definitely
would have a record of it.
got the feeling that it didn't all happen there at the cabin.
Yeah, I got the same feeling, Ben.
That was more like maybe a home base or a lair, so to speak.
I think Haas is still in the den.
Yeah.
I like that, in the lair. Yeah, I'm thinking about that too. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that was but Sarah's. I mean, she obviously felt comfortable enough to come up to the house, and she definitely felt very warm toward Megan, or so we thought. Or so we think. They seem to get along fine. They, like, hey, I'm glad to see you up here. They told her about the break-ins, and then, it was good to see you, and then you'll catch up, and you could definitely see on Jackie's face, which Sarah, because Jackie's standing in front of Jules. Jules is standing behind her, looking her sort of from behind, looking at her side of her face, but can't see her face itself, because if she would have saw her face or saw the face, was sort of like probably the only time in the whole movie where Jackie looked like she was caught in the headlights. Like, this is not this was not in the plan that I had, cooked up. This could potentially show throw a monkey wrench into it, and you see that on her face, but Jules can't see it. Because I do think if Jules would have saw it then, it would have been a short movie. I think she would have realized, something wasn't there. Well, something wasn't right.
I mean, I think also, like, when it was like her friend from the past didn't know she was gay, it seemed to me, right? So like when she's like, oh, this is my wife, then there was like oh, okay, like now some stuff makes sense or whatever. But like I think for anyone who's struggled with like hiding their identity over the years or whatever, like it makes sense. Like if someone doesn't know your current whatever, you're doesn't know that you're gay, and you're there with their wife and you don't exactly know how to react. Like, I don't know. To me, it didn't strike me as too crazy. Jen in the house. What's up, Jen?
Jen says, evening, everyone. I'm very mixed on this movie. There's a lot I love, but the writing falls apart for me in the third act. I do love the music in the film. Yeah, I love the music too.
The actress wrote it, didn't she?
Yeah, I think Brittany Allen. Brittany Allen has she's not only acting, but she's turned into a film composer, and she's actually done scores. I've been following Brittany Allen's career since I saw It Stains the Sands Red. I thought she was really, really good in that. And she has such an unusual look about her. She's not your typical Hollywood, she's not your typical Hollywood beauty, and she's, her acting is very, very sharp and focused, I feel. I like the way she looks. And she actually married afterwards. I think she got married after this movie to Colin Minihan.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so we see them, we see the couples, we see the couple, and then Sarah says goodnight, and what have you, and then again, instantly there's a frost that comes up there, and I thought it was interesting that it was Jules that had to go to Jackie and ask her sort of like what's going on. Before you would think as soon as the door was shut, Jackie would have turned right around and sit there and say, "Listen, okay, so here's what happened." She always had a response for it, but the first time she really didn't, and she had to go chase down the answer a little bit. And I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When she wakes up in the morning, she's like left a message. Isn't that like her alibi? Leaving the message on the phone for her. Oh,
right.
Had to go to town. Pick up some stuff. Sure you did.
Yeah, she
Just some
she
duct tape and some zip ties and some
some supplies. Yeah.
So obviously it's shaking Jackie, Jules, shook her up really good. I think of the combination of the song and the hunting story and the way her demeanor had changed up there at the house, because she gets a boat, a little rowboat, and she decides that she's going to row across the way. That was a big ass lake. Let me tell you, I was like, when I showed her rowing the boat over there, I'm going like, that's a long way to row.
She should have rowed the girl from Backcountry in it.
She
got you.
Because I was like watching that. I'm like, that is a. I mean, not that she couldn't row the boat, but that was a big lake.
Yeah.
And but she rolls across there, and she sees Sarah and Daniel, and she wants to know a little bit more what's going on, and we find out that that Megan, I guess one of their mutual friend had died, and their friend Jenny, and which again Jules is like, huh, what? Because Jules didn't know about Jenny.
Nope.
And Megan was actually surprised that she had never mentioned it, because it was such a big thing for them, right?
Right.
Oh yeah, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah was like, I can't believe she never told you this.
Right. Because that's something that you would share about, and you would think, like, oh, by the way, because when you're a couple, you talk about it, you talk about your histories, so you think that you would mention that, but she didn't. And again, you see Jules is just like, by now she's really sort of like, she doesn't know what to do, and so she goes back, and she basically confronts Jackie, and she wants to know what's going on. And Jackie tells her her side of the story, which was, she was a young girl, and their friends died, and the cops had to come out and talk to her and take her statement. I don't want you to think that had anything to do with it. Who would think that? It's like, who would have, it was just a drama.
Little kids.
Yeah, they're little kids, I was 12 years old and my friend died. She drowned. Okay, I would sit there and say, I hope that you didn't see it. I'm so sorry for you. Not
Mhm.
the first. My first reaction wouldn't be, oh, so did you kill her? I mean, seriously, who would, why wouldn't you share that story?
Right.
Well, I think she
Um,
does. She does say that she was questioned by the police, right, and
Mhm.
cleared or
Yeah.
whatever. But like,
Mhm.
if you're a little kid and your friend dies and you're questioned by the police and you think they're not going to believe you or whatever, like that's a pretty big traumatic situation. If you didn't kill him, if you did
Mhm.
kill him, then it's like I don't know, building confidence or whatever. But um, I don't know.
um, it's just it's just stuff that it's like I'm sure all three of us have had someone young in our lives um, pass away, and we've seen it or have heard it, be a classmate or a neighbor or what have you. And it's like it stays with you. It's like even now, for me, here it is. I'm 59, and I can still remember an incident happened when I was 11 years old, 12 years old. A good friend of mine, he got accidentally shot, and I still could tell you everything. I could tell you everything what happened that day, where I was, what I saw, what happened, and I still could tell you everything down to the minute because it stayed with me. And I could share that story. I could bring that. I would share that story with someone who, like, oh, this happened, or this happened. I could still bring that story up and share it. And it was just sort of to me, it's like, well, why wouldn't she share that with Jules? That would be, like especially someone, close friend like that. And she's not that old. Both these ladies are in their early 20s, early to mid 20s.
Right.
It's not that long ago, and the first thing you think of when you go to that lake would probably be your friend dying, because the lake is there. You're not that it didn't happen that long ago. It would be right at the forefront of your memory, and you would share that. You would think, and
Mhm.
so I can understand Jules again being rocked a little bit, saying that she didn't mention it. Be like, yikes! Why wouldn't you share that with me?
I mean, you do get the feeling though, like she was not the most sort of open person. Like some people just don't talk about themselves, or they're just not super outgoing like that. Not that they would necessarily hide their past from someone, but like some people just you gotta like really coax out information from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Jackie didn't like that Jules had went over there and talked to Sarah either.
Yeah.
And she was like, "You went over there and talked to her, or whatever." And so,
And didn't Sarah like say that she found what's her Jackie like creepy or whatever?
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, during the when they came over for dinner, and yeah, that sort of sealed their fate, I thought.
Well, I thought it was before that. Like I thought I recall like she said it to Jules or something like before all this stuff went down. So I think that planted more seeds, but
Well,
maybe I'm wrong.
Um, so Jackie and Jules, because I think Jackie came over when she had. Okay, wow, I totally forgot this. Did Jackie come over once Jules was there for the first time visiting? I forgot that already. Did she come over to Sarah's house? And
No.
okay, Jules went back,
Yeah.
and then they talked about it, and but the thing about that is too, what you said is like it made a point. The movie made a point to see these two. We see their relationship through flashbacks throughout the whole movie, and we see how close they appear to be. I mean, they're very much close, they're very much intimate, they're very much like what young a married couple would be. Pillow talk, bed talk, or whatever. Just a time where you would share your intimate thoughts and feelings. And I think they do that. I think they showed that because to see how Jackie did not share. She was able to keep that persona of everything is fine, but she
She's a
never
good
really.
actress.
Yes, yes.
mhm.
But I think even during those flashbacks, I mean, it's not like they're having deep conversations about their past. Like one girl's calling like a crow, and the other one's saying I'm a fucking eagle. Like, it's not exactly like, oh, by the way, since you're making bird sounds, like people thought I killed my best friend when I was a kid.
Right.
I
My
just thought
spirit animal is named Megan.
Yes. Yes.
It's an eagle.
I just, you just got the feeling like you would think that they would have been open and honest with each other, and yet at the same time, Jackie's hiding in plain sight. She's sitting there doing all the right things in all the right ways, and yet saying nothing. So then this movie really starts kicking in.
Yeah, because then they go for their hike.
Yes, they go for the hike, and wow. Mary, I'm going to let you talk about the scene because I think you could probably do it really, really well. So take us to the scene where the whole movie shifts.
Anyway, she's just like holding hands and walking through the woods, and and she's like, "Oh, we're going across the creek. Help me! I'm defenseless little lady."
Mm-hmm.
And then Jules they made it to the gorge, and she's like, "Wow, look at this!" Something like she used to play softball or a pitcher, chucking the rocks out there, and you can see it's pretty damn high. I don't. What do you? How high do you figure that sucker is? 60, 40?
Yeah, it's probably more than 40. Probably more like 60 to 80 feet.
Yeah, it looked very high.
Very high, yeah.
She's too busy looking at the scenery. All of a sudden, someone behind her gets a little twitchy, makes a run for it, and gives her a shove right off that gorge.
Oh,
I believe I can
it was the sound that she made when she got pushed.
Yeah.
It was like, it's like that little sound, like that's what really did it for me.
The camera views of her spinning around and falling, they're pretty good. Like,
that I I didn't see it coming.
No,
I didn't see it coming.
I thought it might be a bear or something, just like the other movie.
Yeah, I was actually thinking. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about Backcountry, and I kept on thinking about the scene where they hike to the edge there without the map. Where it's this way. The guy led them all the way there, and all of a sudden he led them all the way to the cliff, and it was like, this is not. Yeah, it was just like that's what I was thinking. I was thinking this is parallel to that move, to Backcountry. And then they're talking, and she's throwing the rock, and everything's, they're working things out or talking things out. And next thing you know, Jackie unleashes, and she.
Well, now the scene where they had the gun and they were firing it at the cans, that had already happened, and so
that's worth bringing
up. Like initially, she's they're shooting, and she doesn't know that Jackie's had any prior experience, but then when she gets that gun, she immediately dead shots every one of them.
Yeah.
So once we get to that part where they're walking, again, I noticed the distance there. Again, like you think this is the thing where they'd kind of have their arm around each other, walking up the edge to look at the view together. And
she broke off real quick.
I noticed how far Jackie was staying back away from her, and I was like, why is she so distant? Like, this should be a moment they should be sharing together. And I'm just like, but that whole that part where they were firing the gun just kind of got me thinking,
Yeah, where Jules was trying to correct her, you gotta hold the rifle right here and put your shoulder off. And then Jackie says, hold my beer. And then she cracked off 3 rounds and hit the target. And all of a sudden, Jules was like, oh, well, okay.
But yeah, just how violently she shoved her off. I was just like, wow.
She like yelled too, like "ah!" Right?
Yeah, like she's legit.
Yeah, that's what was scary, man. When Jules cried out after when she got pushed, man, I was thinking that would have been absolutely terrifying.
Well, she's the prey, and she's preying on her. Mm-hmm. That's why she stood back, and she's the eagle.
Yeah,
I didn't
think about it at the time, but yeah, that's
crows can usually fly though, right? You would think it wouldn't be that big a deal.
Yeah.
I guess in a way it's like her swooping in on her prey, but instead of grabbing it, she's shoving her off.
I know, but the crow could have just.
Well, that's true.
Well, the crow sort of did do that because the crow managed not to hit the rock that was sitting right next to her. I mean, another foot that way, the movie would have been over. But she pushed her and she managed to land next to the rock, and I was like, okay, well, that's a good thing.
When they show her, she looks kind of broken. Like it looks like her limbs are in positions that limbs shouldn't necessarily be in.
Yes.
But she was, for the most part, she was injured, but not like. She said she had some kind of like sprain or something, but like she didn't have any compound fractures or anything.
No, she,
cuts.
Well, she
her
had
shoulder. One shoulder was out of place.
Yeah, she dislocated her shoulder and she had broken her finger.
Yeah.
She fixed it like Mel Gibson.
Yeah, God,
she had the cut on her abdomen too. So.
Yeah, she was messed. And the most important thing was, I thought this movie was going to come a race against time, was where she turned around, and she spit up blood. Because I'm thinking, I'm sure she's suffering internal injuries with that fall. There's no way
she obviously had a concussion too. So
yeah, I think the concussion is the one thing for me where I'm like, okay, because her character in that third act does some really stupid ass shit and like makes some pretty weird decisions. And so the only way I can really justify that is that she was concussed and not thinking properly.
That's a good point, Ben. I mean, that's a valid point.
Yeah, it's like, why'd she do this? Why?
Oh my gosh,
hell, man!
I just kept on thinking this. She's quiet place stupid. That's how I called it. She's like, she's doing everything that she shouldn't do, but we're still being asked to root for her, and it's like, I don't mind rooting for a smart character, but people are making really stupid decisions. It's sort of hard to stay in the saddle with that because you look at them going like, you can't be that stupid.
She hid good though at first in the woods.
Yeah, she did really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see where
she's changing her moods quick.
Oh my gosh! That performance by Hannah Anderson, man. So she pushes Jules off. And then she goes back to the house to practice her grieving. She goes back like she's all just like, oh my God, my wife, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes back there to make sure that she's dead. But and then she's sitting there and she's doing it, and then it's like she's all emotional, she's all invested, and then she's like a sheet of glass. Oh my God!
I know these woods like the back of my hand.
Oh.
Yeah, because how many girlfriends and shit have you
hunted
out here?
I think also like there's just to mention, like there's something really terrifying about someone like breaking your trust in that big a way where you think you know someone really well, but then it turns out that like you had no idea that they were a complete fucking sociopath. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you can't trust and depend on your absolute loved one who's supposed to be your partner or whatever is pretty terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. I do. I totally agree with that. So Jackie returns to the house. She's practicing her voice for the call into the calling Jules dying. But then we find out that while she's doing that, we find out that Jules actually still is alive, and so she wakes up.
Takes her necklace, right? Takes her necklace home to.
Yes.
Jules' necklace or something.
And she gets up and she's staggering around. We talked about her injury. She had a didn't she say she felt like she broke her ankle?
Yeah, but then she was like, oh, I've got a broken ankle, and then she did some shit and was like, no, it's just a sprain.
Right.
I did like that she like took a moment to assess all this stuff and like gather herself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Don't assess, just go.
Yeah.
Let the adrenaline pump through you and get you out of there.
But Ben was right. I mean, she definitely concussed because she doesn't know which
Oh,
way is up. She knows which way is down, but not necessarily which way is up. And
And she also like vomits, right? I mean, that's a pretty
right.
like.
Yeah, I think she
Mhm.
does it a couple times.
See, I wasn't sure if that was her. She was vomiting or she was spitting up blood. Because I'm thinking to myself,
Yeah, it was vomiting. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you have bloody nose and you get blood down, it makes you sick. It makes you throw
That's
up.
true.
Too.
Yeah.
She could have had like just a broken nose, and that made her chuck up all that blood.
But also when you have like when you're concussed, your equilibrium is off, and like that can make you nauseous, right? So if someone like has a head injury and they're vomiting, it's like, ooh.
It was like that girl from Backcountry. You know, she basically it's almost parallel. You know, she got messed up too, and she fell down that waterfall, and then she got up staggering around because she
had a broken leg.
Right, she had a broken leg, and he felt like she was concussed as well. So yeah, I mean, and she her whole face is a mask of blood, and she's dislocated her shoulder. Her hand, I mean, that was a good prop, the good scene of the hand where the fingers all just totally like twisted. I was like, damn, that looked bad. But that's when Jules starts showing a little sign of just, she is a tough girl. I mean, I don't want to portray her as just being, I didn't see her as just being totally, not really, like assessing her situation and taking charge of it. I think she did the best of her ability. But like when she put her shoulder back into place, she managed to do that. And I have a feeling that she had done that before. So she goes ahead and she starts making her way out of that gorge. And by this time, Jackie sees that she's gone. And then
she goes back and gets all dressed up in her hunting gear, right?
Right. Well, first she comes out with no gear, it's just herself. And this is probably when Jules's character, as far as her decision making, this is probably when she starts misstepping, because we see that Jackie's down there calling for her, crying for her. I mean, she's like, oh, woe is me. And at first Jules runs and she hides, and then she hears her, and then she's starting to come up out of her hiding place to say, like, here I am. And at the very moment that she's coming up, we see that Jackie has quit calling for her, and then we see her regular face, and it's just a sheet of ice. It's just like no emotion there. And I love the reaction of Jules. It's like now she finally understands it, and she's like, she puts her hand in her mouth and she mouths, "Oh my God!" And she wasn't the only one saying that, kids. I can tell you that because I was saying the same thing. Like, holy shit, that girl is like, there's nothing there. There's
she
no
shoved
emotion.
you off the ledge. That should have been a hint.
But I think still, if you're Jules, you're confused at that moment. What the hell even happened? You think she pushed you off, and maybe she was screaming because she was trying to grab you, and like. I think in her heart, she loves her. That's her wife. She's in trouble. She hears her calling out and she's like, oh shit. I think she pushed me off, but maybe I don't know. Like I could understand. Right. I could understand her being like confused and wanting to like believe that she was all like sad and worried and stuff. But yeah, we do see her come to terms with it.
I think she would have said, I'm sorry, it's an accident. I was playing. I didn't mean for that to happen. I didn't mean for that to happen. But she's sitting there saying, sorry, I'm sorry, forgive me. To me, it's like if you would have said, I was just playing a trick on you. I was, teasing you. You slipped. I tried to catch you. That sort of thing I could understand. But she says, I didn't mean to do it. Forgive me. And then that's it's two different lines of thought there. It's like, when she sees her face and she sees how she just drops that whole emotional act, I mean, it's like holy, holy shit. It just made you really, for me, I was just sitting there watching. I couldn't take my eyes off of Jackie.
Yeah.
When she was on screen, I could not take my eyes off her because she was such a fascinating character. So, but Jules manages to stay out of her eyesight, and she continues to escape. And then we see Jackie go up there and grab the rifle and arm, basically grab the rifle and start tracking her, or trying to track.
I think it's important to note too, though, like she stayed out there for a while, like it was after dark. She was using her light looking, and she even got to a point where she was right there near Jules. She just didn't know it. But by that time, she's pissed because she's been out there looking for so long. And then she's like, I'm dropping the I'm looking for you. She's like, now she's just like, I'm going to find you, so you might as well come out. So she kind of just drops the act at that point.
Right.
And then when it starts raining, that's what sends her to go home. She's like, all right, I guess I'll just try this again tomorrow. But I guess she just is reserved to the thought that, well, Jules is out here. She's going to stay out here. She's not going anywhere. Right. So I'm just going to go on.
And with the cold rain coming on there, you would think that she'd be, she could risk dying of exposure. It looked like it was fall weather back there a little bit, because based on the clothes they were wearing, not cold, but fall. But she'd fallen, and she's going to be out there in that whole wet rain with no clothes on. It was a good it's a good idea, to go back and let the elements work for you, at least for the night.
But if you're like this person, experienced person, as we find out she is, and doing this crazy shit, you also don't want to leave your crazy shit half done, especially when you know you have a neighbor just like across the lake or whatever, right?
Yeah.
True.
At least that's how I do it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Dale. Hey Reed. How are you? We're talking about what keeps you alive. Yeah. This is a. If you've seen this movie, drop your thoughts on it. If you've seen it, we'd like to hear some of your thoughts as well. By all means. That's cool. And yes, Reed, champions, baby. I don't care what they say. We champs. Okay. I just had to get that out of the way. So you're right. I mean, I just can't get over how quick she changes her face with her like that. I was like, I actually got genuinely scared of this character. Okay, it doesn't happen very often, but that character of Jackie, man, it was like, man, it was impressive.
It's chilling, that's the thing. You think someone, you see like this genuine behavior from them, and all of a sudden you see like the mask slip into like their fucking cold sociopathy or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then Jules manages to make it back. She manages to make it back to the house. And she manages to go through all her injuries, and she has a lot of them. So she goes upstairs, and she gets her finger in place, and she wipes off all the blood, and she does what she can to she does all she can to at least stabilize her, and then she's going to book it out for help. And so she grabs a rowboat that she went out there before, and she starts rowing for Sarah and Daniel's place. And good idea, actually. On paper, it was a great idea, and
it's just harder to do this time since she's in.
Right, because she got there.
She just stowed herself up.
There's no car key. There's no phone. There's none of that. So she's going like, man, I can't call anybody. I can't, there's nobody, this is my only chance. I'm not going to be able to walk this out because it was a sprained ankle. I'm not going to be able to go. She's going to be able to track me. So I'm going to try to get in the boat. I mean, at the time it was a good idea because she didn't know any better. She didn't know there was two boats. She just only thought there was the one. And so she thought, well, I'll just go ahead and get in the boat and just row across. She can't stop me doing that. But then we see Jackie roll up to the house, and Jackie already knew that she had already made it to the house because she came out of the car with the gun, with the rifle. She came out there ready. She had already known. I thought that was really interesting.
Well, she didn't know. She was on guard, right? She didn't know until she saw all the first aid thing.
You just sensed it. I think she must have sensed it because her whole demeanor was coming out of the car was, like you said, on guard. Why would you be on guard if because kind of think about that gorge. That gorge was a little way away from the house. It was, they had to drive there to get there. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no way in hell that she would have been able to make it back from the gorge to the house. But Jackie knew. And you're right. She came out and then she went upstairs and she sees the bandages and all the blood, and she goes and she looks out through the window, and then she sees Jules rolling the rowboat, and she's got for someone who's messed up with a bad shoulder and a bad hand, she's not doing too bad. And then Jules goes downstairs, and first she tries to snipe her with the tranquilizer gun. And she misses. She's out of range. And Jules sees her, and she starts telling her to stay away. And then we're thinking, wow, how's she gonna what's she gonna do? Is she gonna have to go around the lake to Sarah's to try to beat her there to head her off at the pass? But when she goes and gets the other boat, then it was like, oh shit, I didn't know she had another boat.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess the boathouse wasn't quite as burnt out as we thought. And then she pulled it over there, and then she chased her down. That was scary.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, man, because it's like, how is she gonna do this? Is she gonna flip the boat over? She's gotten away with that one before. Is she gonna shoot her and then take her back? Is she gonna, how is she gonna do this? And can Jules keep, she's got a good lead, but can she make it to the other side before Jackie catches her? I guess this is the part right here where the movie for me really started shifting.
Yeah, this is where she starts making some stupid ass choices.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is where the movie changed its dynamic for me, and they managed to paddle to the other side of the lake. And I'm sorry, but if you're sitting there, if you're Daniel who came out there to see him, if you're there and you see Jules' face is covered in blood and her clothes look like she's been rolling down the hill, which she almost has been, your first reaction isn't going to sit there and drink a little glass of wine and just talk casually. Your first reaction is, what the hell happened?
But they're not super duper close, right?
Yeah, it looked like they were far enough away where it's kind of like
you
can see the figures of them and hear,
You might not
know that it's them, but
there's mud on the face. You might think she got mud on her face. Big disgrace, kicking that can all over.
But she definitely looks like she got, and the thing that it is though too, you're sitting there watching them rowing, right? It's not like, and she looks like that, and she's still rowing fast. She's not stopping to let her other help her. She's chasing across there, and she's looking like she got into a car wreck. It's just nothing but red bells. It's just really nothing. It's like, wow, that's not normal by any stretch.
He didn't come out and see them until she was already in her boat, right?
right.
No,
he could hear them arguing verbally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he could see them because Jules' clothes were all shot to shit, and she's got that blood on there. She's obviously in distress. And two, the way they rode in together, they didn't roll in together. You know what I'm saying? It's like if they were going to be coming in to see you, they'd be side by side, pretty much. But Jules is trying to race her to the shore, and he was standing out there. He saw that happening. and it's just a little. I mean, normally you sit there. Maybe they had a bet, but Jules looked like she was like in a car wreck.
Haven't
It
you
was
raced
not.
enough people on this lake, lady?
Yeah. And then and this is this is an interesting movie for sure, Dell. This is definitely an interesting movie. Um, so they get to the other side, and just instead of just yelling at her instead of just yelling at her full head off like help me, help me, help me. Um, and Jackie says, well, if you say anything, then I'm going to kill them, and she's gonna kill them both, and what have you. And don't it's like we're sitting here on the other side we're sitting here on the other side of the lake. I'm gonna get out of here, and if you're gonna stop me, you're gonna have to do it in front of these people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is
Yeah.
like if you're gonna try to do anything for me, you got to do it in front of them. And
Jules is
that's
a
all,
pretty
that's all
big
she
girl.
needed
She
to
should have
do.
tossed her ass in the lake.
That's well, yeah. All she had to
I would
do.
have flipped
Yeah,
her
you're
right
right.
over.
Yeah, that would have. Yeah, a reverse push, right? Like, oh, here, let me return the favor to you.
Mhm.
Or like I said, just scream help and get out of the boat and scream help, and
I mean,
then
she had the knife out on her, so I mean, like, so there was
but still,
obviously
it
that
would have been
threat.
witnessed.
But
It would have been it would have been witnessed, and then then what? I mean, then you're sort of like, wow, okay, so I stab her in front of witnesses, and you don't know what those witnesses have in their house.
yeah,
You can't.
he would have at least had time to get to the house if he witnessed that happen. Yeah,
I mean,
So
her jig would be up if he witnessed her murder her partner.
right.
So like,
I mean, I'm sure his reaction would have been either one, if he saw the knife, he would have went down to help her, or two, just retreat and lock the house and call for cops. I mean, either way, Jackie would have been cold stone busted. There's nothing, I'm going to kill you. Well, okay, well, you're going to get caught. You're not going to get away with it. Or
No, come over at 8.
yes,
but
yes.
that was sort of quick thinking on her dumbass part. Right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah.
And again, it goes. You're right. She says, "Yeah, come over for dinner at 8."
It
And
was supposed
again,
to
I'm
be the
thinking,
next.
she says, "Okay, that works better for me." And this is where the character of Jules just fell apart for me. They get there, and Sarah and Daniel come for dinner. As soon as they drove up, even though Jackie says, well, if he said anything, I'll kill you and them too. I'm still gonna.
It's also where Jackie's character falls apart because she would never be like, oh, here's my attempted murder victim, and she's just gonna act cool when these people come over. Like, no, she would probably knock her off, make her die before the dinner, right? Or she wouldn't go through the whole facade.
Well, I mean, she had tried to, or she almost drowned her as she was cleaning her up in the tub before the dinner.
Yeah,
right.
that was intimidation.
That
was more intimidation, but still, she was showing her like, I could just snuff you out now, or you could, put on this facade for the dinner, or.
I think she could have kept Jules locked down, and she could have got away with the dinner, because that's who she was. I mean, she could have said, she wasn't feeling very good. I took her into town, or she's resting, she's sleeping. She had a fall, she's sleeping, or something like that. Just to and you could have did that right off the bat. Like, as soon as they drove up, you could have just came out the door and sit there and say, hey, about tonight, I'm really sorry, we're gonna have to postpone it. Jules wasn't feeling very good.
But
she had a
had
fall.
they already had the conversation where she had told her, you have to die by falling off this because of the way of the insurance policy is, I think. Have they already had that discussion?
Like an accident, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because she said that she was married before and she was 19 and she cried at her funeral and she'll cry at hers.
Yeah, Erica, her first one.
Yeah.
So, and that makes about sense, because I think there was like 6 or 7 of the pendants, So she's been doing this for a long time. A long time. So you're right. She cleans her all up. She tells her like if you say anything to anybody, I'll just kill them, and shows them the knife, and then instead of just basically doing what we said, what she should have done. The other hand, the other side of the lake, she didn't do that here. It's like I would have tried to put myself in a position where I'm closer to the front door than Jackie is. I mean, you had time, you could have maneuvered it, and then as soon as they came out, as soon as they rolled up, you could have run out there and screamed, but nothing. She just kept quiet, and then they walked in, and then I just that sort of lost me a little bit, because to me I'm like, wow, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna let these people walk in here knowing what you know. I mean, I just felt frustrated with the choice.
Well, not only that, but also like the amount that she plays into her role as like, not as whatever, like there's no way. She just got so traumatized. Like even if you're a true like narcissist sociopath, you're not going to trust someone who you just pushed off a thing to like keep their cool. Like remember she like and later on in the scene she's like, feel your heart, your pulse, now feel mine. Like she knows that she doesn't have the nerves of steel that Jackie has, right? So
you would have thought as soon as they walked in, Sarah and Daniel walked in through the door, she just would have fell apart. She would have just started hysterically crying, upset. I mean, it would have just burst out, like, and then you could have just, said what you had to say. It's like, again, you're putting Jackie on the defensive, with that behavior. She's not going to be able to take offensive action because there's just too many witnesses. And you just don't know. You don't know what the other people are bringing to the party. We don't know if Daniel's armed. Maybe he's armed. He's in the woods. Why wouldn't he? You just don't know. There's too many variables, and the fact that she just stayed there quiet. And the thing that really got me was watching the couple, especially Daniel, allowing them to get drunk. That blew my mind, because that's what ended up sealing their fate. Because then they started talking.
Well, that and classical records blasting. Can you hear?
And so you got the music, you got the couple drunk, and then Daniel says, yeah, well, Sarah always thought that Megan, not Jackie, but Megan, was always a little psychopathic. It was like, oh, well, yeah, that's something you probably don't want to ever bring up to somebody's house, that your host is psychotic. So that's sort of like doomed right there. It's like, and who would say such a thing? Who would say such a thing, even if you thought it was true? I've been around some people I thought were Looney Tunes, but I never actually verbalized it. Like, yeah, I think you're loony.
I would feel like there's some dynamic amongst like like Mean Girl dynamic or something. Like I feel like she had a relationship where she just felt like she could pull that shit off to like sort of like throw shade at her or whatever, like from the old school days or whatever,
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you heard Daniel mention that, did you think that was gonna? I mean, up to that point, it's suspense. It's like, are they going to be discovered? How's she going to get out of this? Is she, is it just going to be an opportunity lost? But when did you feel like when did you feel like the couple was doomed?
Well, I mean, when he says that, and he kind of excuses himself, saying, "Oh, it's just the wine talking," but that right there is what alerts Jackie, like, oh, maybe I need to look in and see what Jules doing, and that's when she witnessed her whispering into Sarah's ear, and that to me is pretty much when it's like, well, I guess we're doing this then. So, and she's like, now I'm gonna have two more bodies to dispose of.
Yeah, she was I will say this, she was pretty proficient with the knife. I mean, she walked right over there and opened Daniel up like a can
She's
of
pretty
tuna.
good with an axe too.
I think she
Yeah,
had to, right? I mean, she had to get him with like an element of surprise because
right.
he probably would have just kicked her ass if he saw her coming with the knife.
He was a little
Yeah.
drunk though, so it would.
I mean, he might have evened it up
It's
a
a
little bit.
man. A man
He
would.
wasn't tipsy, right? He wasn't like blackout, like stumbling around drunk.
No, no, no. But his tongue was loose.
He had a good buzz. He had a good buzz. Yeah.
Tongue was loose. I mean, he was drunk enough where he said what he said, about Megan being psychopathic. And so, yeah, his inhibition his inhibitions were lowered. And then she did say how she would kill Sarah, and this is exactly how she did it. She put the knife right in her sternum and killed her, chased her down and killed her. And again,
when she's chopping them up and stuff, I just like. Do you think maybe she did this to her parents? Like this is their house. And she
I didn't
took
get
them
that.
out.
I didn't get that feeling. I mean, I got the feeling like she was a sociopath who just like cutting up bodies didn't really mean shit to her. It's like a chore, right? Just like shit. Now I got to go mow the lawn too.
Well, she was just cutting up one of them. She was saying she was going to make Jules cut up the other one.
Yeah.
right. Well, I think she did that to implicate her.
Mhm.
Then, that's what she would have said. If they would have got caught, that's how I felt. Like she made her do that to implicate her. To like, yeah, you can sit there and say that I did this, but if they go find the bodies or the axe handle or anything, you're gonna find your hands all over it. And
I got the feeling like Jackie never once thought she was not going to complete her plan exactly how she wanted to, right? I just felt like she seemed very confident that like she was going to achieve what she wanted to achieve.
but Jules gave her that power.
I mean,
Jules enabled her. I mean, and empowered her because Jules never made any sort of effort to stop her. She just sat there and just watched it, and she watched it happen. She didn't say anything at the other side of the lake when they got there. She kept her mouth shut there. She kept her mouth when they got there. And whispering somebody's ear after they've had booze. Not the best time to be telling anybody anything.
It didn't help that Sarah was yelling, "Daniel, get away from her!"
Yeah, but that was a little too late.
Yeah.
Run, Sarah, run.
Yeah, run.
That's what she did. She cheered her on. Run.
Yes, yeah. I mean, she just sat there and watched the whole thing unwind. She didn't do anything at all to stop it. And and then you're sitting there, and you're just looking at Jules, going like, "Man, you didn't make any effort." I mean, I can understand, I can understand maybe you're not feeling all that perky about saving your own life, but come on, you're gonna let that happen as well? And she just sat there on the stairs and just cried and cried and cried, and it's just like, by that time, your empathy for her as a character, for me anyway, it was slipping away. It was like, okay,
she's making her clean up after.
When Jackie tells her this is on you, it really kind of was.
It really, yeah. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, well, again, it's like here's another thing. Why she chased Sarah up the stairs? Why in the hell did you run? You could have ran.
Help her.
Or
you could have just.
Surely there had been something you could use as a weapon. I mean, there was that gun that was sitting above the fireplace the whole time.
Yeah, but maybe that thing hadn't been shot in years, and the barrel was
It's gonna blow your face off.
Yeah,
right.
You're gonna get bullet
but she could have just ran outside. She could have just got out there and again, it's like, because you couldn't. Jackie knew that she had to take care of two things. She couldn't necessarily run after Jules in the dark.
Jules could have got the key to their car and left. Whatever.
Something. Because she had the two bodies in the house. What do? Do you gamble that you can catch her and leave two dead bodies in the house, or do you take care of the two dead bodies in the house? And then hope that if she does get help, hopefully by that time there's nothing left of what's going on. I mean, either way, Jules should have did something, but she just sat on her ass. And when you see her not doing anything at all, you sort of lose empathy for her a little bit.
I do believe, they talk about fight or flight, but I also think there's a good chunk of people that just absolutely freeze in those types of situations and become totally paralyzed. So, I mean, I'm with you ever since the fucking like boat race, right? I'm like, Jesus Christ, Jules, what the fuck?
Right.
But like, still, I can understand like some people just freeze and just don't do anything,
So after she chops off the bodies, and I don't know, what did you think of that scene? Did it fit the movie, or did it seem to be going over the top a little bit? I mean, I got the feeling there. It's sort of, for me, it's sort of like jumped the shark a little bit. Like, I could understand her killing them per se, but not necessarily chopping them up. I'm going like, why would you need to do that? I mean, I just felt it was slightly overkill.
She went Dexter on their heads.
It just kind of pushed the idea home that this is not the first time she's ever done this. Like this is like part of this is like part of a process of like, okay, now that I've done this, I've got to chop them up. I got to get rid of it. Then I got to clean up the blood. She pulls out her black light later and is cleaning everything with the black light on so she can see.
I do feel like, I don't think it seemed like she went a little a little overboard with the Dexter decorations, like I think that was a little more, didn't really feel super real, but
I didn't feel, I felt the same way. I didn't think that was like, wow, because come on, seriously, you're gonna that seemed more like a mafia hit thing than it seemed like
that's who the family is.
It just didn't really, it didn't feel like it was in the right scene in that movie. It felt like and then when they rowed out to the boat again to deposit the body, the other thing about that was I don't necessarily think that boat would have held up for 4 bodies, a little rowboat like that. I mean, that's a lot of weight sitting in there to get rid of, and to have them roll out there where they did. I just felt like, I don't know, maybe if they went one at a time, maybe. I don't know.
2 boats, one for the bodies, one for you.
Yeah, I don't know about boats. That could be correct, or it could be like maybe you could have 18 people in a boat.
They were thin, so they could have had that, as long as it's like in the middle, I guess. No rocking it. I would have rocked her as soon as she's trying to toss a body over. Whoops.
Right, because and the thing that is, they had to weigh the body down. That's the other weight they had to bring too. I mean, if you're just cutting up a body and throwing it over into the lake without any sort of ballast, it's gonna float. It's gonna float. So you had to weigh every piece down. And to me, that would have just overloaded the boat. So I was a little, maybe that's nitpicky, but that's how I look at it. I look at details, like details. And I'm thinking, I don't necessarily think they could have got away with that, because they're putting the pieces in the water and they were sinking down. And it's like, okay, okay, I can understand that, but they have to weigh it down, and it's 2 people, not just one person, and so, and again, there's Jules, this going along for the ride. Yeah. And by this time, Jules is sitting there. Jackie's telling her, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. I got to, throw you off the cliff again.
Yeah, let me try out for a while.
That was to me, that was sort of funny, because it's like, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with you. I'm going to push you out. I'm going to drive you off. I'm going to push you off the cliff again. It was just like So and then so then they go ahead, and Jackie reveals to Jules that she truly is a sociopath. She has no feelings about anybody or any way, and she's that's
when she finds all her necklaces and stuff, I think.
Right. And Jules sees all the necklaces and realizes that Jackie has been doing this for a very long time. A lot, and we see like six. I think it was 5 or 6.
Yeah, but it hasn't been a long time. It's just been a lot of times, because there's still like mid-20s, right? Like,
I wonder. Yeah, I really wish they would establish this in the sense that, because I mean, I just wish you would establish this in the sense that, okay, for one thing, she didn't kill every one of them for their money, because that would have been too much of a pattern. Some of them, I think some of those women that she killed, she just killed for sport.
Just for the hunt, huh?
Just for the hunt. I do. Because if you're 19 and you're now, what, 26 or 27 in the movie, and you've killed eight wives per se, and you got the insurance money from them, yeah, you're gonna get spotted like probably by the second one. The second time that happens, you're gonna have the cops looking at you like nobody's business. One time you can get away with it once, but if you get away with it twice,
I think though, like, you know, different counties, like smaller towns and stuff, like maybe aren't like, don't run names through all the fucking like databases and everything. It's just like, oh shit, there was an accident. This poor girl's wife got killed or whatever, you know. I don't know.
I guess I don't think. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see how she. You know, I don't like I said. I don't think that she could have gotten away with the insurance money scam, but I think she did this time. I think this is probably her first time doing that.
She said it was her. She said she did it before.
Yeah, I didn't know she did it for the insurance money though. See,
I don't know if she did everyone for the insurance, but she has done it before for the insurance. Yeah,
right, definitely.
I think she might have did her parents in.
I never really got that feeling.
I didn't get that. I didn't get the impression either.
So
it wouldn't have surprised
me.
Me.
Family for a long time, and what better place than, you know, you got to get rid of the parents if you want to. What'd you call it? A layer.
Use it as your layer, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting to see that. It definitely would have been interesting. So she decides that she's going to go ahead and drive Jules back to the cliff's edge, and Jules is going to go along for the ride. You know, it's just like yeah.
Checking out the leaf changes. It's beautiful. Stop, Abby. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. Yeah.
So she gets in the Jeep and they drive down to they drive down to the cliff, and and so on the way there Jules pulls out a tranquilizer dart, and she says hell no, it's like she's finally gonna fight back. So she jacks the tranquilizer into Jackie's neck. Awesome. My question is, as soon as the car stopped, as soon as she stopped it, or why did you stop stabbing her? I would have kept on stabbing her ass even if she would have crashed the car. Still would have. I would have went down stabbing her ass. But she stabs her once, and then Jackie stops the car, and then Jules gets out and she runs. And Jules has obviously Jules is a city girl, because she has no idea where she's at in the woods, and she runs back to the damn cliff. I just that was just too funny for me. I had to laugh at that. She was running through the woods, not necessarily running down the road, but running through the woods, and she runs to the cliff. And Jackie gets out and chases her to the cliff. She's got the knife in her. She's got the knife, and then she passes out for the tranquilizer. Okay, so my question is, why the hell wouldn't you return the favor? Why wouldn't? I mean, if I'm Jules, after seeing everything I've seen, I'm grabbing her, I'm rolling her ass like a bowling ball, and I'm letting her fly. I'm letting her fly. Here, you're an eagle, fly. You know, and and letting her go off the cliff. But
she has her big old knife too.
She has her knife, but she's unconscious. She's done. She's tranquilized.
She's got the dart. She's got the knife.
This was my thought on it. You know, up to this point, it seems like Jules is not about violence, and she's just trying to get out of this situation. If anything, she just wants to leave. You know, so this is her opening. So, choice is either I leave or I kill her, and know that she's not going to do this anymore. Like to me, this is the decision point. And so if her goal is I don't want to cause anybody any harm, this is where you get the hell out of there. So, but that's the thing is you find out that she's just very. I just don't think her. I mean, as a character, yes, I see for the movie, but I'm saying as a person though, you're either going to do one or the other. You're going to take out your like, I'm going to kill you. Do the cause harm to you, or I'm not going to do anything. I'm getting out of here.
And I think either way, I would tie the fuck up out of her, right? Like I would bind her till she couldn't move at all. Like either way.
Yeah.
Since she had been such a big threat all this time.
Yeah.
It would just give me peace of mind.
Myself, knowing who I am. Yeah, she would have flown over the cliff. I definitely would have.
She might come back.
I definitely would have picked her ass up, and I would have aimed a little bit better than she did. I would have looked to see where look before you throw. Yeah, I would have tossed her ass over the cliff. Seeing what I seeing what she had done. Yeah, her ass would have flown over. But you're right. I mean, she wasn't a violent person necessarily, but I still think she should have tossed her over. Because look, she was going to do it to you. If it's a situation was reversed, your ass is flying over. So why not do it to her and be done with it? Right. But then she gets in the Jeep. Okay, she's got her freedom. The bitch is asleep. She can get back in the Jeep and she can book the hell out of there. She's got time. I mean, she got time to go to the house and to pack her shit up and to grab everything.
Do some laptop work.
Yes, I mean she could have did everything and gotten out of there. And then she does. She goes to the house. She does the. You're right. She does the work, and then she drives out there, and then she has a change of heart. Well, it's way too late to sit there and have a change of heart. Like I'm going to fight. That you should have been doing that when you rode across the lake the first time. If you were going to fight, you should have did that then.
Yeah, or when they came there to the house that night, you should have found you some weapon. You weren't tied up. Find something, knock her out, run out there to them, be like, let's go.
Yeah. You just not really there for her anymore at this point. And then when she gets out, you're going, okay, finally she's making the right decision. She's driving the hell out of there. But then she turns around and she goes back. And you just, by that time, I have to admit at this point when I saw her go back, I'm going like, yeah, I'm just sort of, I'm checking out of Jules. I mean, I'm just like, she's just.
Yeah, she starts playing the music real loud, like, come and get me.
Yeah, I was just like, that's
first blood.
It's like some of those movies, like some of the movies they have the pariah solution, whereas like one of my favorite movies with that in is The Patriot. And in the movie in The Patriot, it shows Mel Gibson, he plays a colonist, and they're fighting the British, they're fighting the American Revolutionary War, and Jason Isaacs plays his nemesis in the movie. Jason Isaacs kills both his sons. Right, he kills both his sons, and then at the end of the movie, we see Mel Gibson, and he stabs Jason Isaacs, and we're all supposed to sit there going like, "Yay!" Who won? He lost. He killed Jason Isaacs, but he lost because he lost both his sons. It's like, what did you win? At what price?
Was it Heath Ledger?
Right.
Yeah.
And I just felt like with this, that's how I felt. It's like you're getting empowered to go back to fight. But you've already have allowed so much damage.
To me, you'd already made your decision to leave, so there's no going back at that point.
No,
I mean,
and
unless you're just dumb, because if your goal was I want to kill her, then you should have killed her then.
Or concuss.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, but you're right. I mean, she the time for you to fight has long gone past. That time's over with. Now it's survival. Now what you could do is you could get out of there and just keep going. I just didn't believe the choice that she made, that she was going to go back to fight. I just didn't buy it.
I mean, at that point though, she's made so many stupid ass choices. I was just like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
So they go and so she goes back to find Jackie, but Jackie's gone. She's recovered a little bit to, she returned, Jackie's gone. So Jules decides to go to the cabin, and there those two have a fight, and again Jules has her with the gun. She has her at her mercy, and she lets her off. And then they go ahead and they fight upstairs, and Jackie overpowers her, and once again she knocks her out, and once again she takes her back to the cliff, and so Jules is knocked out. She lays her down, she drags her to the cliff, and then right when Jules starts to wake up, Jackie kicks her over again. Okay, like I told this to Haas before you guys came on, but I laughed. I did. I laughed at the scene. I was thinking, I just, because it was so stupid by then. It was just like, of course she would. And she, again, she's like, she wakes up, she looks over, like, I wait for her to sit there and say, not again.
Or, no, the fact that Jill says, no, don't, like it's like,
yeah.
What do you mean? No, don't. She's told you from the get-go she's gonna put you back off of this again.
I always feel like when I see someone like I imagine like when you're getting killed, you will just say stupid shit. Like people say like in Friday the 13th Part 4 when he's getting killed in the basement, he's like, oh, he's killing me. Like, what the hell are you gonna say? Of course, you're like shocked. You're like, oh my god, this dude's fucking killing me. I can't believe this shit.
Right.
So when people say stupid shit, I'm always just like, yeah, that seems like. I imagine if I ever die violently like that, I'll be saying some stupid shit too.
Yeah. What did you think of the second trip over the cliff? I mean, was it one where was it shocking to you, or did you? I don't know, maybe something's wrong with me, but or did you sort of chuckle at that a little bit, like, oh shit, not again?
Here we go again.
I just thought the odds of her surviving the first time was, I didn't think she would the first, but definitely not a second time.
No.
There's no way.
No. I did think that though that she did get her revenge in a clever way on Jackie. I thought that was really innovative. I did like that. She sort of remind me of The Mechanic. Like by the time you read this, you're dead. That's the same thing she said to Jackie. Is like if you're watching this, that means I'm dead. And then she kills her regardless. And at the end of the movie, at the end where we heard Jules take a breath, yeah, I'm not buying that. I'm sure she's deader than a doornail.
She's pretty resilient, dude.
Yeah, but we're talking like yet another, I mean, I can see Wile E. Coyote being that resilient, but I can't see Jules being that resilient. So we
had some flashbacks. I don't
my thing is
the flashbacks.
Since she ends up killing her regardless, it's like, so even after you're already dead, you still killed her. So it's like, if that was your thought process, why not just stab her when she, was out with a tranquilizer?
Again, like the last third of this movie, like Jen from the grave, Jen's from Reeves from the grave, she did mention it, like the third half of the movie sort of fell apart. The writing fell apart. I tend to agree with that. I tend to agree with that, and I think the only thing that really holds the third part together is Jackie. But she holds the whole movie together. She's definitely the most fascinating character in this whole thing. I mean, we're supposed to emphasize with Jules, but Jackie steals the movie for me.
I thought there's just some movies that are good movies that piss me off, that I find frustrating or like unsatisfying, and though this one has like a little satisfying twist, it's still like overall just like, why the fuck did that just, like, come on guys. I found that like Like, have you seen Speak No Evil? Sort of a similar thing where you're just like, you know, it's a
like those
cool
endings.
movie, it's a good ending, but you're just left going like, that is so unsatisfying.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Good
Yeah.
movie though. Definitely check it out.
It's a good. It's a good. I
Okay.
mean, I like this movie. I mean, I definitely would recommend it. I'm going to recommend it. Um, I'm recommending it more for the fact of the actress, um, Hannah Anderson. I thought she gave a. I thought she gave a great performance. This
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
she
she
was
plays Psycho
absolutely.
good.
She is absolutely brilliant in this movie. Chilling, a worthy adversary, not someone you want to meet, want to run across in the middle of daylight or in a dark alley. Her Jackie is fierce. And I really enjoyed this watching her. I would definitely watch this movie for that all by
Yeah.
itself. Um, haven't seen anybody act as well as her in a movie like this in a long time. Um, so I really do. I just felt bad that the last third of the movie didn't have the same tension or the consistency as the first part of the movie. What you guys agree with that, or you guys have some thoughts?
I thought it was well made. I liked the film, and but yeah, that sort of falls apart. They did not stick a landing. But the ultimate, like the penultimate landing, they didn't stick. The ultimate landing was a nice little thing. Um, you know, at least people don't get away scot-free per se, but like,
Right.
yeah, it kind of pissed me off. And when you watch a movie, like, I don't know. I think rarely, I think the filmmakers are like, hey, let's make a movie that just frustrates people. You know? I mean, clearly David Gordon Green did it with the Halloween Ends, but you know, I mean, I think for the most part, I don't think you want to frustrate people. So I think they were sort of kind of fucked up there.
Yeah. It's definitely worth a watch, but it's just there are certain parts that are just most people it'll kind of take you out of it a little bit.
I
It
do
gets maybe to that latter part of the movie.
I do always like I always find it like kind of like a terrifying concept when you feel like you can trust someone and they just totally flip into someone that you don't even know. So I think from that, and it was done well for the most of the movie. But yeah, Jules' decisions were frustratingly unrealistic, I thought, you know.
This is the same. This is I had the while I was watching this movie, watching that. I had the same reaction when I watched The Quiet Place. I just felt like I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm thinking, we're supposed to have empathy, and we're supposed to be rooting for the family and all this, but they kept on making so many stupid choices that at the end of it, you're sitting there going like, you deserved it. You deserved it for being so stupid and careless and made you frustrated. It's like nobody in their right mind would do the things that you're doing, and yet we're supposed to be asked to be empathetic toward them. And it's like, I have empathy for people, but when they do things where, that's why they have what they call the Darwin Awards. It's like you see people, they get blown up or whatever, but they do it stupidly. They do it to themselves. And it's just like, you want to sit there and feel bad for them, but at the same time, it's like it's just common sense. It's, and they just don't do that. And that's the reason why they end up being on the Darwin's list. And I just felt the same way with this movie. I just felt like, man, she just, I guess, when she allowed the couple to get killed. I mean, if it's just you, okay, but you allowed two innocent people to die, and that's what takes me from you as far as my empathy for you, is because you allowed them to die. You could have saved them, but you didn't. And to me, it's like you're complicit. You might as well have slit Daniel's throat and stabbed Sarah as much as Jackie did.
Well, then you should like it because everyone gets their comeuppance. Right? I mean, for her stupidity, she gets killed.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Or does she?
I just felt bad for. I just felt bad that if it had just been if it had been just a chess match between the two of them, sort of like Clue or Mousetrap. I get it. I get it. You're trying to outfox the other person, but when you allow innocent people, it just, as far as a movie or viewer goes, you're sitting there watching it and you're going like, wow, that sort of sucks because they didn't have to die. That's sort of because we're supposed to be identifying with Jules, like, oh, that poor girl and this and that, and it's like when you see that, then you're left sort of cold. You don't have that feeling anymore that you did for her beforehand.
Right.
But like I said, she was concussed the whole time, not thinking clearly. So
that could be it too, Ben. I'm gonna actually consider that. I'm gonna rewatch this movie and consider that, because I think that is a valid point. You make
make as many stupid ass decisions as she made.
Well, the concuss thing up to a point can work, but when she goes back and she's like, all right, I got this plan. I'll put the stereo over here. I'm gonna get the music working. I'm gonna stand here with my gun. Like, to me, that means that she's over it enough where she can think enough to come up with this plan. I mean, I don't know.
That plan to me seems like at that point, it's like, oh my God, what movies has she been watching? Like, this is not realistic activities. This is like some bullshit you would see in like some fucking cheesy movie, right?
Right. But I'm saying at that point, she's not acting like somebody who's got a concussion.
She's not acting busy, but she's still making some stupid ass choices.
The stupid decisions, yes.
Yeah. I mean, she is not a strong heroine at all. I mean, not that, she's just even put in, who else experienced enough to do with the things you're telling her to do? Look, it's common sense. It's not like you're asking her to put on a cape and stop a speeding bullet. You're just asking her to make just a common sense. It's like when if the stove's turned on, you see a little kid walk by it, he's going to touch it. Are you going to sit there and watch him do it and then sit there and say, oh, by the way, you shouldn't do that? No, you're going to go ahead and say, don't do that. You're going to make the right decision. It's common sense. Nothing heroic about it. It's just sit there and say, don't do that. Don't, that sort of thing. Don't steal Godzilla's last slice of pizza on a Saturday night, that sort of thing.
That's true. Brain injuries just in general are pretty crazy. Like, they can switch your whole personality, depending on how you damage your brain. It's like some pretty weird shit. I'm not really justifying her act. I think she was kind of stupid the whole time, but I would give her a pass saying that she's concussed and she damaged her fucking frontal lobe.
I think I could probably do that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about rankings. Where are we going to rate this movie? And Mary, we'll start with you, and then Ben and Haas, and then I'll give mine.
Like a 5.5.
Oh,
maybe a 6, because of the believability of the survival of Jules. She's not gonna fight. I just couldn't believe it. She was running through the woods. She was taking care of herself. She looked like she could hold her own, and then her heart took her out. Her love for her girl. but
that rocks, Mary. Oh shit, that rocks. So 5.5, huh?
Yeah, maybe a 6. Like, even the one I picked, I'm about a 6 on.
Oh, yours is higher than that. Yours is higher than that. Yours is higher. Oh, I can already tell you that already.
I really liked it.
Yeah, me too. Yours is way higher. Ben, what would you rank this on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd give it a solid 7 to 7.5, maybe, because I think like it is worth. I mean, it's a decent time watching it. There's flaws in that Jules did some stupid ass shit, and it leaves you feeling kind of unsatisfied. But at the same time, the first 2 acts were really pretty well done, and then the final leg of the third act, at least that sort of was an interesting little twist come up in moment. So that was cool.
Haas?
Well, I mean, based on Hannah's performance, I'd say it should be like an 8 or 9, by itself. But because of the rest, I'd say probably a 6.5 to 7 would be more reasonable.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.5, extra little half because of Hannah's performance. She definitely.
Oh yeah, she did great.
She definitely, this is her movie, and she definitely carried it. And I can't wait to see other things that she's done. I'm gonna be looking for other movies because if this is just yeah, she's someone that I like to keep an eye on. I'd like to see some other performances by her. She was absolutely terrific in this movie. Definitely. When you talk about, when you start talking about top 10 villains or top 10, her character Jackie needs to start making some of these lists because she was fierce, and I really really liked it. I thought her character was really well written by Minihan, and which I find really fascinating is because, like I said, he and Brittany Allen were a couple, and I found it interesting that his script really made the other girl, Jackie, so much of a stronger character. So I thought that was interesting.
And not that they would or that they should, but like even if there was another movie made showing Jackie's character earlier on and maybe what kind of led up to that point, but what I'm saying is she could probably pull that off, but that's a stretch.
Marie from England, our friend from Great Britain, saying that her dad got home after 5 months in the hospital. I'm so awesome.
Wow.
That is that's lovely. So he's got to come home from hospital for 5.5 months. It is great news. My dad is praising me for saving his life. He's a lot better now. That's awesome. We all, everybody here, I know I'm speaking for myself and for the whole panel, man, and all our friends in the community. I'm glad your dad is doing well. I'm glad he's home. That's amazing. See, you should have been in this movie as the heroine because you made the right decision. We know if you would have
drove
played
back with the Jeep back home.
That's right. Yeah.
Where's she at?
Maria would have ran that ass over about 10 times or so. All right. So, Mary, it's your turn next month, December, Christmas. And what are we going to be watching next month?
Our House 2018. There you go. You got it. I don't have this one.
Our House.
It's streaming on Tubi.
Okay.
And so is the one that you picked now.
Yep, that's where I watched it.
This is a great
on
movie.
Tubi's the best.
This is a great movie. You guys will all. I mean, Mary's already watched it. You, Ben, and Haas, you will really enjoy this movie a lot. This is a fun movie, and it's very hard. It's almost like if I'm not mistaken, Mary, but it's almost like a family version of an IFC Midnight film.
Yes,
and it's not a bad thing either. Let me tell you, it's not a bad thing.
So it's like The Harvest that I picked. It's kind of like a family can watch it. It's not blood and guts,
But this one has such a warm ending. I'm not spoiling it. I'm just saying when I watched this, I was shocked. I was surprised because by this time when I watched this, I was so used to seeing movies like today, but it was so cool to see because there's some good moments here that will spook you. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
But it's such a fun movie. It's it's so different. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Well, that's where it kind of reminded me of The Vigil a little bit with the ghoul.
Yeah, what's up with IFC managing to break the rule? Right, the rule of thumb is basically PG-13 films generally are not all that scary. They're not very They're not very effective because they're PG-13. But between The Vigil and Our House, both and Dark Harvest, they all PG-13. Holy cow! There's some really good, effective movies with the PG label, in my opinion.
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist is PG.
I know, and The Ring,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I'm surprised it is with that tearing his face off in the mirror. You know,
I don't know what year the PG-13 came into play. It might have came in '84.
I think it was like mid '80s.
Yeah,
Whenever Temple of Doom came out.
because there's one movie that came out that was rated PG-13. It was the first one, and then I know the second movie that came out PG-13 was Dreamscape.
Dennis Quaid.
That's a fantastic.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie. I kept on waiting for them to come up with another one or remake it. I'd love to see them remake that.
He could. It would probably be decent to remake it now.
Well, speaking of remakes, real quick before we all tell us about our channels, what's going on. Colin Minihan is actually writing and directing the remake of Urban Legend. So that's what he'll have to do. Yes. He also wrote 2019 Spiral. Not the one with Chris Rock, but there's another one called Spiral that he did.
Be better than the other one.
Well, the one movie I would recommend of his, what's really good, it's It Stains the Sands Red. That's a great movie, but it was on Dark Sky. But that's a great movie too. All right, real quick before we get out of here, Haas, want to tell us what's coming up on your channel?
I'm hoping to. I know I keep saying a lot of times we do these, but I'm hoping to get some reviews out. I'm kind of putting a hold on the collection for a little while, adding much more. So
time for Dollar Tree.
Finally get out some reviews, in these wintry months. Yep.
I was gonna say it's time for Dollar Tree Theater for you. You can jump in some of those because you got some cool ass movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm wanting to do for sure.
Ben, how about you? What's going on with your channel? You've been posting a little bit more lately.
Yeah, I did 2 videos in a week. Are you guys impressed?
We are entertained.
I have all sorts of shit in my collection that I've just never shown. But I also don't want to only do collection videos, So like I was thinking like Hoss was saying, I have all these like limited editions and like deluxe editions that I just haven't like shown anyone. So it'd be nice to like, and oftentimes I won't open a movie until I watch it. That's just part of my ritual. So I thought it'd be cool to like take some things I don't have open them up and talk about the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And you also got some really cool figures that you've yet to show us.
I got all sorts of shit, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy over here. I just got a new figure last night.
I think for the next IFC Midnight show, I think you should pick a special co-host to share the screen with you.
Yeah, I could do
that. Oh my gosh! Any good news on the house hunting? You come close to finding something yet, or?
I saw this house and I just kind of fell in love with it, and I was really, really interested in getting it, but didn't work out, and I haven't really been seeing anything that sort of captured my attention like that last one. So I keep an eye open, but the housing market is looking pretty good for buyers these days. So still looking around.
Okay. If you want, I offered it last time. I'd be more than happy to send you my friend's number. She's extraordinarily good. I mean, she's really good. Just throwing it out there. Mary, what is going on with your channel?
Nothing. I mean,
that is sweet.
Is that art?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so
it's art imitating art.
I'll tell you this real quick before I let you guys get out of here. So David Howard Thornton is very active on Threads, right? Very active. And so I've been talking to him, on Threads, and so I asked him. I said, so is it true that Art the Clown loves cats? Because from the first Terrifier, and he says, hell yes, Art loves cats. He loves all animals. So there's something you need to know right there, that Art the Clown will be never killing any animals in his movies.
Maybe.
He'll play with a dead possum.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's not a cat, so it doesn't count.
They got a cat kind of mouth.
Because what's funny, because like I caught that in the first movie. He's sitting there and that one crazy ass lady, and there's all these cats around him, and you're thinking, okay, he's gonna kill a cat. He's gonna kill it. But no, Art the Clown loves cats. Art the Clown he's rapidly rising on the horror icon.
Oh yeah.
He's stuck.
Getting to be about that time of the year.
Yeah, it is. You can hear the jingle bells now. Ching, ching, ching.
All right. So next month we will be here on the what, the 31st? No, let me see what day.
31st?
Yeah, what day is? Let's see what the Sunday is.
I'm not doing shit, so it don't matter.
I mean, end of December might be kind of tricky to pull off.
Well, we could do it this
whenever.
We could do the 17th. Christmas Eve is the 24th, and New Year's Eve is on the 31st. So we could either do it then, or we could do the first Sunday of January. What would you like to do, Mary?
Probably the guys would January, right? That'd
Right,
probably
and then
easier for everybody, right?
Right.
I'm gonna be trying to Scotland for sure. So,
and then I think January is going to be Ben's turn, and then Haas will be after that.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, didn't I just go in October?
Did you go in October? Okay, yes, then Haas is January, and then Ben, and then myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, boys and girls.
The first week of January, whatever the date of that Sunday is.
We can do the first week of January and then the last week of January.
Okay.
Then we'll have two shows.
That'll be easier for you guys, right?
All right.
Yeah. I saw that in December, and I'm going like, I don't know if this is going to work out, because it's Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. I don't think anybody will be here for that.
No. They'll be partying.
Well, we're
gonna partay. I have one drink on New Year's Eve, and that's like my once a year drink.
I have coffee, and
you gotta get a little tiny bottle of champagne.
Oh no, no drinky poo for me.
No Asti Spumante.
How about grape juice? I'll pretend it's
sparkling.
Yeah. All right, boys and girls. Thank you so much to the chat. Thank you guys so much for coming out, supporting this in the replay. By all means, visit everybody's channel, and if you haven't subbed to their channel, please consider doing so. And we will be back next on the first week of January here on my channel. We'll be here on my channel the first week of January, as Mary Wilson will be our hostess for our house. And that's going to be a banger. I tell you, you don't want to miss that one. Thanks so much, everybody. And we will talk at you soon.
Peace out, y'all.
See you later.
Bye, guys. Bye, Ben. Thanks. Bye, Haas.
All right.
Bye, Haas.
Y'all take care.
You too. Let me turn off my lights. You like? Did you like him though?